Band directors, we want our warm-ups to not just be about getting the initial sounds going, because this is a great time to start building that strong fundamental base for our bands. It's great to have the right exercises, but maybe even more important is knowing how we can use those exercises to their maximum benefit. So in this video, I want to talk about 3 common band warm-up exercises and how the best approach might be different than the one that's normally taken with them. I want to start with Remingtons, which is an exercise that even if you don't know it by that name, you know this exercise because you start on one note and then you go down a half a step and then you go back to the original note and then down a whole step and then back up and then down 3 half steps, then 4 half steps, and you play these descending intervals. And this started out as a trombone exercise, which makes sense when you think about a trombone player playing first position, second position, first position, third position, and so on. My original understanding of this exercise, and I think it's one that probably a lot of people have, is that it's all about intonation and hearing how those different intervals sound, which is a great use for it. But I think within a band setting, there's something even more valuable that we can get from this. And what we want to do is create a really good concept of sound on one note and transfer that to other notes. Concert F is typically the one that we go to help us create that really good concept of sound because it's a middle of the range note for most instruments that it's easy to work on and get the right kind of resonance and tone quality and balance and everything across the band that we want. So we use that note to get the best sense for what we can sound like as a band, and then we start to transfer that sound to other notes as well. So we take that concert F sound and then we try to recreate it on concert E. And then we refresh on F and then back to E flat and so on. Sometimes when I listen to bands warm up with this type of exercise, I hear them play da 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 da. So they quickly jump back to the original note and then they go land on the bottom note and hold that one out, which is not a bad thing to do, but I think really what we want to do is always go back to that original pitch that we've used to maximize our tone and our sound and take that idea and transfer that to the other notes. Again, this is really good for intonation, but I was reminded again recently that if we can really just focus on the tone, sometimes the rest of it takes care of itself. I was trying to record myself on trumpet and really trying to lock in the pitch. And as I shifted my focus to just trying to get a maximum resonance on each note, the pitch issues got so much better. And so if we can get our bands to just really aim for that big, resonant, balanced sound on the other notes, a lot of times the intonation will take care of itself. So that's how I approach Remingtons, and I think it's good to just really take that great concept, transfer it to other notes, and go from there. So next I want to talk about slurs. So when you think about brass lip slurs and woodwind slurs, these are great exercises for things like tone development and range development. Really what it comes down to with the ability to slur from one note to another and to do it well is flexibility. So that's what we're after with these exercises, creating that flexibility. Students have their own ways of trying to go about this. They might try kind of excessive embouchure changes. They might even try to like really change their instrument angle. The most common one that I hear is blowing louder to try to get higher notes to come out. I'm sure that sounds familiar to everybody. Really, the longer I teach, the more that I think about flexibility is about one thing, and that is air direction and being able to control the air direction. And almost without exception, it's going to be about tongue level, okay? Flutes have the thing that they do with their jaws and different things. But really, when we control air direction, we want to think about how we do it with our tongue. And the way that I demonstrate this to students is I try to get them to whistle. And even if they can't whistle, they can change the sound of the pitch coming out of their mouth. They go, that's enough to get the idea of what we're after. So I'll have them alternate between a low note and a high note. And I'll ask them, how are you doing that? And usually if they think about it, they'll be able to come up with the right answer. And they'll say, well, I'm moving my tongue. And I'll say, yeah, that's what we want to do when we play our instruments. So we want to set our tongues lower for low notes and higher for higher notes. So think like ah, ooh, and e, low, middle, high. And as we can just focus on that, that will make these slurs happen. I used to talk about embouchure changes and how we change the speed of our air and all this stuff. I don't really talk about that anymore. I just get them to focus on the air direction because that enables them to do this more easily. So when you're working on slurs with your band, encourage them to focus on what kind of tongue level and what do they need to change the air direction for the different registers of their instruments. And then third, I want to talk about articulations. But before we do that, I want to introduce a guide to you. It's called Developing Your Band with Amplified Warmups. And this is something that I put together that has a lot of my best thoughts about how to create good intonation and tone and articulation and style within our bands. And you can get this for free if you go to amplifiedwarmups.com/guide. Just put in your email address and I'll send that PDF to you for free. Again, that's at amplifiedwarmups.com/guide. Continuing on with articulations, most of what we do with articulation is about tonguing, but I want to talk specifically about accents, staccatos, and tenutos, these note-based articulations. The way that we create these articulations is not really about how we tongue, it's about how we shape our air. And the simplicity of it is that if you shape your air like the shape of the cymbal, it's going to give you what you need. When you think about the shape of an accent, it's bigger at the beginning than it is at the end. And that's what we want to do with our air. More air at the beginning of the note, and then it tapers off. It's like a mini decrescendo. Staccatos are just like a little dot of air. And that's how we create it, not by stopping the air with our tongue at the end of the note. We just do it with our air. And then tenuto is just an even amount of air throughout the note. So now there's definitely room for more nuance than that as we're talking about these things. But the simple takeaway is that these need to be performed with shaping our air, not by how we tongue. Focus your students in the right direction on these exercises and they'll get the most benefit from them. I hope this was helpful. Again, check out that guide at amplifiedwarmups.com/guide. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you soon.